The countdown to November's US presidential election continues. 9 months out, Donald Trump has a healthy lead over Joe Biden in a number of key swing states. For the first time on Newsday this year, I'm pleased to say we're joined by James Morrow, host of the US Report. 8 p.m. Fridays, and James will be joining us every Thursday. Great to see you. Look at this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll. North Carolina, double-digit lead for Trump. Nevada, double-digit. Wisconsin, 8%. Arizona, 8%. Georgia, 7%. This is a real worry for the Democratic Party, you'd think.
Well, yeah, you'd think that, especially because these are swing states. These are states Trump absolutely needs to win. They are states that many of them went the other way in the 2020 election, the last one they had. And so he needs to get, of course, some of those states back, including Arizona, which, of course, was very controversial around, a lot of allegations around how the vote was managed there. The lead here he's showing in these states suggests that he's really heading towards locking in quite a substantial majority in the polls. Most of the aggregations of polls, Kieran, put him at a 2 to 3 point lead nationally over Joe Biden. But of course, it has to be state by state in the same way that here in Australia, it has to be electorate by electorate.
There was an interesting bit of, I think it's known as guerrilla journalism. It's certainly promoted as that, undercover questioning of a White House staffer, talking about the problems that Joe Biden faces as a very old candidate, incumbent. Let's have a look. We've got the grab for you. Have a look at this.
Got dementia.
Yeah, well, I don't think he has that clinically yet.
No, yeah.
But he's definitely slowing down.
My question is, are the people, like your colleagues or the White House or whatever, do they get it? Do they know that?
I think that they probably do.
So that's a White House official caught on a hidden camera, but reflecting, I guess, the view of a lot of people within the Democratic Party, and definitely much view held across the United States.
Well, there was a fascinating bit of guerrilla journalism by James O'Keefe, who's done an awful lot of these sorts of things. We're going to be taking a much deeper dive into what he had to say tomorrow night. But a lot of interesting things there. People in the White House are concerned about his age and his competence. Other things that came out, Michelle Obama apparently no interest in running. And number 3, a huge problem they've got about what do they do about Kamala Harris, who is a huge underperformer, but also because she is black and a woman, because of the Democrats' weddedness to identity politics, they can't get rid of her. So they've got a lot of problems. Now, one interesting thing is that the guy says, there's no precedent for the president not running again for another term. Well, actually, there is. Go back to 1968. LBJ was under an awful lot of fire, and he pulled the pin before that election. So there's still time for them to swap it out, or for Biden to say, I'm not doing this anymore, or some combination of the two to happen. If that happens, Trump may be in a lot of trouble, because a younger candidate could indicate a generational shift to the Democratic Party.
And on the younger candidate, South Carolina, the next primary, is there any scenario you can see, a reasonable scenario that Nikki Haley does get some momentum?
No. I think Nikki Haley is basically everybody from the Republican Party is done with her. Everybody is swinging it around Trump, even a lot of people who said they'd never vote for Trump. So that support seems to be solid. Nikki Haley is being seen now more as a cat's paw of the left. She's being funded by a lot of people on the left, including the founder of LinkedIn, who also helped to fund the trial, the lawsuit brought by E. Jean Carroll against Donald Trump for that defamation related to an alleged sexual assault matter. So really, she is seen more as an agent of chaos and an agent of the left. I can't see her staying in if she makes it to South Carolina, unless she somehow, there's a real miracle. I think she's out of the race after South Carolina.
And just to wrap up then, on the Biden side, we started with the concerns around his candidacy as the incumbent. Is there anyone in the mix? Do you see any early signs of a potential shift in 2024 to a younger alternative?
Well, I mean, look, Gavin Newsom was the one that a lot of people had talked about. He's the governor of California, but of course, under California, once great cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles have become absolute just sewers, and there's literally no other word for it when you look at what's happening on the streets there. So, California is a great poster child for how not to run a state, and of course, people would say, don't run the country that way either. You'd be looking possibly at some other candidates, a female candidate, maybe an Amy Klobuchar, who's governor of Minnesota. There's some other names out there in the mix that are being quietly talked about. But, I think it would be somebody who we haven't seen much of, who then they do a very big, hard push to essentially get everybody to fall in love with them.
Host of the US Report on Sky News, 8 p.m. Fridays, James Morrow. Great to chat. Talk to you next week.